Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to AstroSecretsGuruJi channel. My apologies, I was not able to upload a few of videos in English. I was focused on Hindi videos for a couple of days there. Uh, this video, so what exactly we want to do when we are kind of trying to read a Kundli? We want to predict, right? What is it that we want to predict? We want to predict how our life is going to turn out, right? And how exactly we can do that. Okay, so there is a way kind of to look at the overall planetary motion and link it with our individual lives, right? Part of that is looking at like Dasha and Antar Dasha, as it is called in Hindu Vedic system, right? So Dasha and Antar Dasha, Dasha gives you majority of result, right? So it gives you around 70% of result, okay, basis the planetary placement in your individual kundli. Antar Dasha gives you around 20% of result, right? So combined Dasha and Antar Dasha gives you like 80 to 90% of result, okay? So kind of if you imagine it as a polynomial equation or kind of a predictive model, you need to figure out like what is the Dasha Antardasha and how the different planets are going to impact the overall kundli, right? Okay, so to understand, even before going to Dasha and Antardasha, we need to understand a lot of things, right? So the first variable that lies with us is the ascendant and how the ascendant is placed. So at the time of the birth itself, whichever sign rises in the east, right? So that sign becomes, and that sign's lord becomes ascendant lord, and that sign becomes the ascendant sign, right? So if you take a look at this kundli, what is it that you see? You see 8 written here, right? And we are counting first, second house, third house, like this, right? So 8 is written here. We will go in anti-clockwise direction. 9 will be here, 10 will be here, right? 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 again, okay? So this all we have discussed in our previous video. So there are 12 signs, 9 planets, right? And three of the planets are not being considered in Hindu Vedic system right now, but there are uh, many people who have started considering those three new planets as well. But the idea behind not considering those three new planets are not new, but maybe more from the Vedic system, right? Because they have very less impact on the lives, right? So you kind of you can imagine it as three variables, x1, x2, x3, which have very less impact on the predictive model that we have. That predictive model is basically our kundli, right? So first of all, if we talk about this particular kundli, it is written 8. So 8 is the sign of, let's see, if we go here, 8 is the sign of Scorpio, and we have the lord is Mars, right? Mars is the, so we'll take a look at the planetary position as well, but this is the idea, right? So 8 is the sign, and ascendant becomes Scorpio, right? And the lord becomes Mars, okay? This is what we need to consider. Whether the Mars is positioned well in the kundli or not, that is also we need to consider. So the first part is like ascendant is at 22 degrees. If we take a look at here, 50% is considered good, right? 100% is this bracket. 12 to 18 degrees, 18 to 24 is the 50% bracket. Similarly, 6 to 12 is 50% bracket, right? And if we talk about 25% bracket, 0 to 6 degrees, and 24 to 30 degrees. Anything like below 2 degrees is negligible. Similarly here, anything above 28 degrees is considered negligible. So for example, Rahu and Ketu placed at 29 degrees, having negligible impact, right, on the kundli. 0% or maybe 1% or 2% on individual's life is what you can consider, okay? So what is it that we have removed till now? We have removed Neptune, x1, let's say, Pluto, x2, right? Uranus. We are not considering them in the system right now. Then again, for this particular kundli, since Rahu is placed at 29 degrees, Ketu is placed at 29 degrees, we are not considering. So Rahu and Ketu kind of 0%, So the result, the predictive result that we are trying to get, we should not consider these two variables or planets basically. Okay. Hope this part is clear. Ascendant is what we have already discussed. Ascendant is a Scorpio. Scorpio nature will be there for this particular person. And Mars basically is the ascendant lord, placed really well if we talk about it. So 50%, and then this is the bracket. So sign number 8 and sign number is 1 is what we have to see. Although this house is not good, 6, 8 and 12 are considered Dushtana house, not good at all, right? But then again, Mars is the Lagna Lord, and Lagna Lord is most of the times uh, benefic. Okay, so one of the house is good here, that is one reason, and here also this house is also good. So Mars is considered benefic in this particular kundli. So I have mentioned, let's say, plus here. Okay. Second, we are going to talk about, so there is a rule, right? That rule I have already covered. The rule goes like, so if you have the Lagna Lord placed here, okay, Lagna sign placed here, the second and seventh are considered enemy, okay, and bad for the overall kundli. Okay, so we are talking about, let's say, what is going to positively impact the life and what is going to negatively impact the life, right? So 9 and 2, right? 9 is what? Jupiter. And 2 is what? Venus. Okay, because 9 is ruled by Sagittarius, which is the Lord will be Jupiter. 2 is ruled by 2 is the sign Taurus and ruled by Venus. Okay. So if we talk about Jupiter, Jupiter is having good house. Jupiter is kind of 9 and 12 are the sign. Okay, so if we take a look at it, this is really good house, Mool Trikona. This is also good. Okay, and this Kendra house is what we have got here. Okay, so Jupiter is kind of becomes a benefic for us. Okay, in this particular kundli. If you talk about Venus, Venus is not placed good here maybe, and the houses that Venus has got is 2 and 7. So 7 is again house number 12. Okay, this is 2. Okay, and Venus again is placed in the sign of, let's say, 6. 6 is the sign for Mercury, and Mercury Venus is not in maybe on kind of, on par terms or friendly terms. But then again, this is not considered good because this is a bad house, and the other reason is Venus in sign 6 is debilitated. Okay, if we take a look here, 12 and 6 is written, right? So Venus is exalted in 12. It is going to give really good result. However, if it is placed in sign 6, which is Virgo of Mercury, then it is going to give you negative results. So what did we see? We saw that it is placed in house number 12 and it is not placed well here. Okay, the sign is not good. Then overall Venus becomes a strong malefic for this kundli, okay, or this person, to be honest. Okay, after Venus, so we have considered, let's say, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn is what we need to consider, right? So Saturn, if we talk about it, this is kind of a house of might, a house of kind of pursuing things and all. This is the second sign that Saturn has got, 10 and 11, Capricorn and Aquarius. This is a good house that Saturn has got, and Saturn is placed in Kendra, the Lagna itself, right? So Saturn is going to prove benefic for this kundli. Okay, if we talk about Moon, okay, Moon is placed in a bad house, which is 6th house. Dushtana house is what it is called. Okay, and then the house that it has called is Mool Trikona. Okay, although this is a good house, but then ideally if you are in a Dushtana house and you get placed there itself, then the results are good, otherwise considered bad. Okay, so since Moon is placed in a Dushtana house, it will be considered malefic for this kundli. Okay, next we are going to talk about Mercury. Mercury, if we take a look at it, 3 and 6 are the signs, right? 3 and 6, if you take a look at the on the left hand side, 3 is Gemini and 6 is Virgo. Okay, so 3 again is a bad house. Okay, this is house number 8. Okay, this is house number 11. Okay, and Mercury is placed in a sign which is enemy sign of Mercury. So it is placed in sign of Moon, right? So it is having a Dustana house. It is placed in an enemy sign, right? So in this particular case, Mercury can be, so it can be kind of a mixed result also, but we'll consider Mercury as, let's say, malefic here in this particular case. We'll talk about Sun as well. Sun is placed in his own sign. 5 is Leo's sign of Sun only. It is really placed well. Degree is also good, kind of going to give 50% result. Okay, so and kind of, in a exalted state is what we'll call Sun here. So Sun is going to prove really good for this Kundli. Okay, so we have defined Ascendant. It is good. Malefic, benefic is what we have defined. There are 3 malefic planets: Moon, Mercury, and Venus. Venus is a strong malefic in this particular case, and has house number 2, which is a partner sign. So it is going to create problems in, let's say, a life partner or business partner as well. Okay, so this is going to be a bit bad, right? So benefic and malefic planets is what we have seen already. Chalit table and degree is what we need to consider. So let's suppose if ascendant is at 9 degree. Okay, I have already made a video regarding this, but just briefly I will cover this part. If ascendant is 9 degree, then we don't need, the planet need not be moved into different houses. Okay, because 22 degree is the middle point, then we need to consider 15 degrees minus here and then 15 degrees plus here on this particular side. Basis that we consider the house is of 30 degrees, right? So basis that we will try to divide different houses. So right now Saturn anyways, I think if we consider maybe minus 15 degrees and plus 15 degrees, it will fall in this particular house only, but not so for the other planets. Okay, there might be some changes that Jupiter may get shifted into this particular house or may get shifted into this particular house. Basis the Chalit table we will have to see, or degree we will have to see. Okay. Another element that we will have to consider is the retrograde planets. The retrograde planets are considered to give kind of a different result altogether, contrary to what they are meant to give, right? So Jupiter in this particular case is retrograde. Okay, so Jupiter is kind of towards wisdom and all, and if Jupiter becomes retrograde, then Jupiter focuses on giving you that wisdom. And how do you gain wisdom? If you get difficulties only, then only you will gain wisdom, right? Most of the time kind of, you correlate with that. Saturn is known for it. So in this particular case, Jupiter is retrograde, and in those particular cases we will have to consider kind of, different angles to Kundli or our predictive model, to be honest. Okay, Dasha. Now coming back to Dasha and Antar Dasha. Okay, how do we define it, right? So let's suppose Dasha is kind of, different years. Let's suppose Saturn, if we talk about. Okay, Saturn Dasha runs for 19 years. Okay, so let's suppose your Dasha for Saturn starts in 2000. Okay, Dasha will be running till 2019. Okay, so Dasha, so Saturn will become the major driver of the predictive model. It has around 60 to 70% weightage now, okay, to your overall result. Okay, as a, what is it that you are going to get in life? Are you going to get good result? Are you going to get bad results and all? So Saturn being a benefic here in this particular Kundli is going to give you a good result, right? So if you consider Saturn here, Saturn is going to give you 60% of result. Okay, if you consider, let's suppose along with Saturn you get a kind of, Antar Dasha. Okay, so within Saturn's 19 years you get minor periods, right? Minor packets where different planets will move, transit into different houses, and basis that you will have to consider the result. So let's suppose Saturn is the Saturn's Dasha is running, then you get Sun's Antar Dasha, right? So your major variable is this, right? So your major variable is 60 to 70% result. Our weightage is assigned to this. Then let's suppose 30% weightage or 20% weightage is assigned to Antar Dasha. Okay, so most of your variables, so most of your result are going to be driven by Saturn and Sun. Okay, rest what? Rest you will have, let's suppose house Mars going to give you result, or Jupiter, Venus and all that will fall under, let's suppose, less than 10%. Okay, that is how you should confer the results basis the Dasha and Antar Dasha, right? Let's consider one more case where Venus is the one whose dasha is running. Okay. Now Venus is going to give you negative results. Okay, this is going to give you negative results. Now what will happen? Venus is a strong malefic, going to give you negative results. What kind of negative results? Okay, we will talk about that. So second is the house of Venus, 7 is the house of Venus, this is the house of life and partnership, this is the house of hospitals, major expenses or sudden expenses is what we can see, right? So if this happens, okay, if Venus's kind of dasha is ongoing, then what you will have? You will get results, negative results with respect to life partner, with respect to business partnership, with respect to sudden expenses, that you're bound to get sudden expenses in this particular case, right? And you might get more hospital bills, although with age the chances increase. But then again, if Venus dasha is running, then it's going to prove really bad in this particular case. Also, let's suppose Venus being a malefic, the dasha is running, you also get Mercury or Moon's Antar Dasha. Okay, so then 80 to 90% your results, fx, which is x is basically, or fx is what, your life, right? How it is going to turn out. So for the years Venus Dasa will be running, let's suppose 6 or 8 years. I'll give you the exact numbers in a different video, right? So for the years that Venus Dasa is going to run, you are bound to get negative results if it is again, kind of running in parallel to Mercury or running in parallel to Moon. Okay. Hope this was a bit clear to you. Okay. We will talk about remedial measures also. So when we talk about remedial measures, there are kind of 2-3 measures that are taken. One is wearing a ring. Okay, Jupiter, kind of yellow sapphire, Saturn, blue sapphire. Okay. So all of it we know, like you have ruby also, you have coral also, right? So all these rings, if a planet is benefic, so if a planet is benefic means it is marked in green, right? 4 planets are marked in green, then you can wear it. But then again, you have to keep in mind that the planet has to be between this degree, so that if you wear the ring, you transfer from this 50% bracket to 100% bracket. Okay, this is the whole idea. So if let's suppose you wear the sun's ring, ruby, okay, then you are bound to get good results. Here it is going to give you 50% impact. Here it is going to, if you wear the ring, it is going to give you 100% good result. Okay, so dasha and antar dasha, the result of y is equal to fx, which is life, will also be dependent on the strength of the planet. In this particular Kundli, the good planets have major strength. The bad planets, Venus is driving the majority of the results, negative results, right? So one, we can bring Sun here or Saturn here. We cannot bring two together, basically. So you cannot wear ruby and blue sapphire simultaneously, which it is not recommended at all. So we can try to bring this here, and then we will have to do some remedial measures for Venus. Okay, what are those remedial measures? Kind of, either you increase the degree so that it goes from, let's say, this 50% to 25% bracket. Okay, or you have mantras and all which you can chant basically to appease Venus. Okay, so that the results are not bad, especially in the period that Venus dasha is running. Okay, so rings are one condition. Second is mantras and all that you chant basis the time period that the dasha or anta dasha is running. Okay, then the third is rudraksh. Okay, which you can get in Himalayas. Okay, or nowadays you can get everywhere, but the idea is the plant grows in Himalayas, and the plant seed are basically scrubbed up, then kind of worshipped. People wear it also. So that is the third thing, that kind of a remedial measure that you can take. Okay, so kind of I have tried to cover multiple aspects here to and also try to give you a different perspective of looking at the Kundli. Okay, I will cover some of the things in detail. Let's say dasha, how many years for which it will run for different planets, remedial measures kind of in detail, and we'll cover few more kundlis in detail in later videos as well. Okay, I hope you like this video. Many thanks for watching. Hope to see you again. Thank you. Thanks a lot.